What do you do if you're an official in Cleveland, Ohio, a open carry state, and you look up one day and a bunch of Negroes start marching into town with assault rifles? Well, apparently, according to this article, you immediately begin to shit in your pants. So, allow me to set the stage here, gentlemen. Apparently, some white groups, some white pro open carry groups, uh, had made arrangements to come into town and march down the street with weapons. For some reason, those white groups didn't show up, but a bunch of black groups did. And these people, these officials in Cleveland, immediately shat in their pants. They act like a bunch of people that they knew were Muslim extremists was running down the street screaming Allah Bakwat with a bunch of bombs strapped to them. I mean, this is how they were really acting, like this was some sort of an emergency, when it was obviously quite the contrary, but obviously just black dudes with guns, even though they knew they legally had them. They knew that they were legal, which is why they allowed them to carry them in the first place without a shootout occurring. But even though they knew they had them legally, still that upset them. Wonder what that could be all about. Okay, anyway, here, let's see. The head of Cleveland's largest police union just called on Ohio Governor John Kasich to temporarily restrict state open carry gun laws and Second Amendment during. He wants to temporarily. He wants to restrict the Second Amendment during this week's Republican National Convention. This call comes as members of various black open carry and self-defense organizations began arriving in the city. Okay. These people are crazy. When various gun right groups with predominantly pro-Republican agendas and predominantly Caucasian members said they planned to show up, there was still no call from the police. Suddenly, as more African-American armed protests began checking in on the streets of Cleveland, the police made the call to the governor. Now, I want to say something. That kind of sounds like a setup. I mean, it really does. It kind of, because you know what a lot of people don't know? When Castile got shot, there was a couple, there wasn't that many, there was a couple of white gun groups that did have a problem with what happened, and they were even giving the NRA hell about it. There wasn't that many, and there also wasn't that many stories reporting on it. But it's just kind of hard to believe that they had planned on coming, told the police they had planned on coming, but none of them showed. Only the black group showed. That kind of sounds like those white pro-gun groups may have been involved in helping to set this whole thing up. I mean, I don't believe in coincidences. That's not this big. That's too big. None of the white group showed up. Come on now. Anyway, this sheriff says, we're sending a letter to Governor John Kasich, well, he just says Kasich, requesting assistance from him. He could very easily do some kind of executive order or something. I don't care if it's constitutional or not at this point. This motherfucker say, hey, look, fuck the Constitution. We got Negroes walking down the street with guns. Stephen Loomis, president of the Cleveland Police Patrolmen's Association, audaciously said, oh, no, he's not a sheriff. He's, boy, you know what? Sometimes these little officials in these different unions and these associations and all that, they're worse than the actual police sometimes. But in John Kasich's, not his defense, but give him credit, he actually basically told him to kiss his ass, really. He said, you know, okay, here we go. Kasich, for his part, responding to the request saying, Ohio governors do not have the power to arbitrarily suspend federal and state constitutional rights or state laws as suggested. The bonds between our communities and police must be reset and rebuilt as we're doing in Ohio, so our communities and officers can both be safe. Everyone has an important role to play in that renewal, he explained to the police. So he was like, dude, are you serious? Come on, man. Man up. You know, these people are here legally. They have guns. Get fuck out of here with that. All right, guys, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and cut it short. Just wanted to bring you that story. I thought it was hilarious, to be perfectly honest with you. And soon I'm going to be doing a video on the tragic shooting of the young lady from Australia. Right now, there's not a whole lot known about it. It's not looking good for the cop, but this is going to be very, very interesting because now this is a litmus test. We're going to get to see whether or not the problem with America convicting officers is just mostly in part to statist brainwashing or racism. Because it doesn't look too good for the cop. I mean, apparently, all we know so far, and I'm going to throw the link down below so you can read it, but apparently what we know so far is she called the police in an attempt to get some sort of assistance or report a crime. Apparently, she was standing on one side of the car or the other. I forget whether it was the driver or passenger side. And the officer that shot her was sitting on the opposite side of wherever she was standing and actually ended up firing a round past his partner and shot her as she was talking. And right now he's invoking his right not to speak, which is, you know, it's kind of strange, but then again, maybe not. But the thing that's interesting about this is that he's black and he's Muslim. And another thing is that she's from Australia, and Australians are pissed because they don't play that shit when it comes to their police. The police are very professional with everybody in Australia, including blacks. You know, they don't get down like we get down over here. You know, it's not like pow, pow, pow over here. So you can only imagine that to them, especially with us having the reputation we have over here with our policemen, they are really pissed. So there's also pressure from that. So this is going to be very, very interesting. I'm definitely going to be staying on top of it, and I will be doing a video on it after I know more. But like I said, I'm going to put the link down in the bottom. And of course, I'm going to put this link, the subject of this video, in the bottom as well. You know, this comedy show, the shit that should be on Saturday Night Live. That's the one I'm talking about. I'm going to put that down there too. Anyway, you guys take it easy. And hey, look, as usual, you like the video, give me a like, subscribe. And if you're a hater, you know, I'd love to see your little thumbs down too. You can go ahead and click that. Anyway, talk to you guys later.